making them to stop into certain activities. So for example, they have given you about taking up the jobs using the same hand pump or the well, not allow them to drink in the same cups, or we can say what activities the other people are doing and we are not allowed to do. And this kind of things we see in our society, and that is known as discrimination. Discrimination, treating very differently from others but not in a good way, in a bad way. Discrimination can take place because of several reasons. There is not a single reason for taking place of discrimination. There are many such reasons. You probably recall from the previous chapter that Samir A and Samir Do were different from each other in many ways. In the previous chapter we have read about the story of Samir A and Samir Do. You can there itself see the differences what they were facing. For example, they have given you some examples from that story itself. They belong to the different religions. First main discrimination, we can say first one, which is inequality, that is he was from Muslim and one was from Hindu. So they were having different religions. This is an aspect of diversity. Yes, for sure, because all are different in a similar way. So this can say diversity. However, this diversity can also be the source of discrimination. What diversity they are telling you about religion, it can also turn into discrimination they are telling. Group of people who may speak in a certain language, follow a particular religion, like in a specific region, etc., may be discriminated against their customs, as their customs or practice may be seen as inferior. Now, for example, here, if you take about Karnataka, many people may be belonging from one community, and few people are from different community. What we feel is few people who are from different community, they will be treated as inferior. Inferior means little bit low comparatively to the majority ones. So in low in positions we can say or whatever. Another difference between Samir A and Samir Do were their economic backgrounds. Economic backgrounds, one was rich and one was poor. Samir Do was poor. This difference, as you have read earlier, is not a form of diversity but of inequality. Now, we can say religion, it is a form of diversity, but the economic background, rich and poor, that is inequality. That doesn't come under discrimination. People who are poor do not have the resource or the money, turn your page 18, money to meet their basic needs of food, clothing and shelter. Obviously, people who are poor cannot afford food, clothing, shelters. They experience discrimination in offices, in hospitals, schools and etc., where they are treated badly because they are poor. When they don't have money, going to the hotels or going to the hospital is pointless. So they are discriminating. But government is trying really very hard to overcome this discrimination, to provide everything whatever the poor needs. Some people may experience both kind of discrimination. They are poor and they belong to the group whose culture is not valued. Now, it can be one inequality we can see, that is on the basis of rich and poor. But there are many few people, they will discriminate on the basis of region also or on the basis of culture also. Tribals, some religious groups and even particular regions are discriminated against for one or the more of these reasons. Tribal people who don't have houses, we can say, they keep roaming from one place to other place in search of work or in search of food or something. They keep roaming, they not have one permanent house. They will be more discriminated in our society. One of the other reasons, like they may be poor on the basis of caste, on the basis of their financial stability, or on the basis of they wear the clothes, or on the basis of their color, and etc. In the following section, we will look at how a famous Indian was discriminated against this, and will help us to understand the way in which caste was used to discriminate against a large number of people. Now they have given you some story, we will see about it. On being discriminated against, impure. These people are seen as dirty or impure because these are valued works and these are less valued works. Comparatively, like teaching, carpentry, poetry, weaving, fishing and farming, we will value this in our society. But comparatively, these works are less valued. We want the person who cleans, weaves and washing everything. But these are not so valued. Cleaning, washing, cutting hair, picking garbage. We can add few others like cobblers who stitch the shoes and everything, or picking up the dead animals and everything we have already seen. So this kind of things we are discriminating on the basis of work also, or the basis of activities they are doing. Now coming here, this belief is an important aspect of the caste system. So mainly this belief is on the basis of caste system only. In the caste system, communities or the group of people are placed in sort of ladder where each caste was either above or below the other. So how they make one ladder? You can say one ladder, and they will place them one on the below, one on the below. Those who place themselves as the top of this ladder call themselves as the upper caste and saw themselves as superior. Now who belongs here, who is placed here, they are known as upper caste. I write it here. Who is placing themselves at this place, they will call themselves as upper caste and also superior to other castes. The groups who were placed at the bottom of the ladder were seen as unworthy and called as untouchables. At this place, this bottom place, they were known as unworthy or untouchables. These were known as untouchables or unworthy. They were not having any dignity in the society. Caste rules were set which did not allow so-called untouchables to take on work other than what they were meant to do. Now these untouchables were there, no, they were only meant to do few things. They were not allowed to do all such activities. Now, for example, some groups were forced to pick the garbage and remove the dead animals from the village. So, some groups of the people who were belonging from untouchables, they will force, these people will force them to pick the garbages and to pick the animals' waste. Also, but they were not allowed to enter the homes of upper caste or take water from the village or well, or even enter the temples. The people who were doing all kind of work, they were forced to do such works. They were not doing such work. They were forcing these people to work all such things, but these were not allowed to their homes, nor enter a temple, nor use the village well or water. Their children could not sit next to the children or of the other caste in the school. You can see in the image below, see how being made to sit separately in the classroom because of one background is a form of discrimination. How if one community is sitting at one place and people who belonging from untouchables are sitting in the corner, they were not allowed to mingle and sit. Thus upper caste acted in a way which did not give so-called untouchables the same rights as they enjoyed. Now, this upper caste, how they acted, they enjoyed all kind of, you can say, rights and everything, but these people could not enjoy these rights because they are at the bottom of this ladder.
Students, they have given you one story about Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar. We'll look after this story. Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar, one of the greatest leaders of India, shares his first experience of caste-based discrimination which took place in 1901 when he was just 9 years old. So everyone know that he is the greatest leader of India. He is also known as architecture of Indian Constitution, we can say, or he is the father of Indian Constitution. So he shares his experience of discrimination which was on the basis of caste, and this incident took place in the year 1901 when he was just 9 years old. The story begins with he had gone with his brothers and cousins to meet his father in Koregaon, which is now in Maharashtra. So what happened? Once he went to Koregaon with brothers and cousins to meet his father, and the place Koregaon is in Maharashtra. Long did we wait, but no one turned up. An hour elapsed, and the station master came to inquiry. So they waited for long time, and by waiting 1 hour passed away. But and station master came to inquiry. He asked us for our tickets. We showed them to him. So what he did, station master, when he came to them, so he asked, "Show me your tickets." So they showed their tickets. And he asked us why we tarried. We told him that we were bound for Koregaon and that we were waiting for father or his servant to come, but that neither had turned up and that we did not know how to reach Koregaon. So when station master asked that they were standing for so long time, no, so they asked that why are you standing? At that time they told that they wanted to go to Koregaon and they are waiting for father or servant to pick them up, but they did not come to pick us and we don't even know how to reach to Koregaon, they said. We were well dressed children. From our dress or talk, no one could make us that we were children of untouchables. So they were so well dressed, their personality looked so good, and the talking style also was so good that no one could make them that they belong from an untouchable family. Indeed, the station master was quite sure we were Brahmin children and was extremely touched at the plight in which he found us. So what happens? Even station master thought they are Brahmin children, and he was really feeling sad for that situation. Plight means the situation what they are facing, no, that difficult state that they are waiting for so long time, but no one is coming there to them to pick up and all. So he was really touched about that. As is usual among the Hindus, the station master asked us who we were. So normally he asked us that who you were. So at that time what they said, without a moment thought, I blurted out that we were Mahars. So without even thinking carefully, he said that he is like they were from Mahar families. Now, what is Mahar? Mahar is one of the communities which were treated as untouchable in the Bombay Presidency. So when he said that they belong to Mahar, then at that time he was stunned, and that family belongs to untouchables. Okay, so he was stunned. Stunned means he was shocked hearing to this. His face, turn your page. His face underwent a sudden change. We could see that he was overpowered by a strange feeling of repulsion. So as soon as they said that they belong from Mahar family, his face was completely changed. Repulsion means a feeling of not liking. The feeling of not liking was easily seen on the face of station master. As soon as he heard my reply, he went away to his room and we stood where we were. When he said that we belong from a Mahar family, he did not even utter a word. His face turned away somewhat with a strange kind of feeling, and he went back to his room and they were standing where they were standing before. 15 to 20 minutes passed away. Elapsed means passed away. The sun was almost setting. So after 1 hour again 15 to 20 minutes passed away and sun was also setting. Our father had not turned up, nor had he sent his servant, and now the station master had also left us. So what happened? Father also did not come, nor he have sent any servant, and station master who was with them, he also left us. We were quite bewildered, and the joy and the happiness which we felt at the beginning of the journey gave way to a feeling of extreme sadness. Now they were so excited to meet their father, but that wait, what they are waiting for so long time, and no one is coming to pick them up, and they cannot reach to that place, and this unpleasant feeling of this station master and everything that made them bit confused, and they were not at all happy. That the feeling was changed into sadness. After half an hour, the station master returned and asked us what we proposed to do. Now, again, after half an hour, station master came and he asked now what to do. We said that if we could get a bullock cart on a hire, we could go to Koregaon. So what he said, if they find how we are having rickshaws and taxis, no, at that time bullock carts were there. So he said at least if we find some bullock cart, then we can go to Koregaon. And if it was not very far, we would like to start straight away. There were many bullock carts plying for hire. So what happened when they thought that at least if the bullock cart take us, like if we hire one bullock cart, then we can reach to Koregaon. It is not so far away, and they started like walking directly. But there were many bullock carts plying for hire in the sense carrying a passenger to their destination for cash. How we take our rickshaws and everything in the same way. But my reply to the station master that we were Mahars had gone around among the cartmen and not one of them was prepared to suffer being polluted and to demean himself carrying passengers of the untouchable classes. So what he said to station master, no, that he belongs from a Mahar family, that went to them also, like they got to know that they belong, and they didn't wanted themselves to be like, they didn't wanted themselves to be polluted, and they are making them to demean themselves, like it's kind of losing their dignity, we can say, or insulting. It was really bad for them. They were feeling such bad, and they were not able to carry any passenger who belongs from Mahar family. We were prepared to pay double the fare, but we found that money did not work. So what, when they waited for so long and no one is trying, like no one is coming to pick them up, they thought to hire one bullock cart, but no one, like is willing to take them up because they belong from Mahar family. So because of this, they said that we will pay you double whatever you say, we will pay you the double the amount. But also they said no, will not take you. So money did not work here. The station master, who was negotiating on our behalf, stood silent, not knowing what to do. So this was the thing happened with Ambedkar. When he was talking to everyone, he was trying, but no one can do anything. He also stood silently, and they were not having anything that we can do, like there was no solution. Source: Dr. B.R. Ambedkar writing speeches. This story has taken, means source means the story have been taken from Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar writings only, and they have given you bit about Ambedkar. We'll look after this. Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar, he was from 1891 to 1956, is considered the father of Indian Constitution. Already said you that he is the father of Indian Constitution, and is also the best known leader of Dalits. Why he is best known leader for Dalits, we'll see. Dr. Ambedkar fought for the rights of the Dalit community, so only he is the best known leader for Dalits. He was born into the Mahar caste, which was considered untouchables. The Mahar were poor, owned no lands, and the children born to them also had to do the work their parents did. Now, what work the parents did, like picking up the garbage or whatever the low caste people will do, no, that work only the children also should do, whoever born in the Mahar family. They lived in the spaces outside the main village and were not allowed into the village. So they were living in the outskirts of the village, they were not allowed in the village also. Dr. Ambedkar was the first person from his caste who completed his college education and went to England to become a lawyer. So he was the first person from their caste who completed his education till the college and also went to England to become a lawyer. He encouraged Dalits to send their children to school and college. What he did, he not only completed his education, he also encouraged the people from his caste to send the children to school and college. He also urged Dalit to take on different kinds of government jobs in order to move out the caste system. So in order to eradicate this caste system, they were telling, he told the Dalit people to take the government jobs. He led many efforts of Dalits to gain entry into temples. He has also put many efforts so that even Dalits can enter into the temples. Later in his life, he converted to Buddhism in his search for a religion that treated all members equally. So he later converted himself into a Buddhism. Dr. Ambedkar believed that Dalit must fight the caste system and work towards a society based on respect not just for the few but for all the persons. Not only for the Dalit people but for everyone. They need to work towards the society, not for all such things. Imagine how difficult it would be if people could not move easily from one place to the other, how insulting and hurtful it is to have people move away, refuse to touch you or allow you to drink water from the same source as they do. See, obviously, if people behave in such a manner, when you're passing, they will move backward or they will see you in some strange manner and all. We feel it very insulting and also hurtful. They are hurting our sentiments. This small incident shows how a simple task of going from one place to another in a cart was not available to the children, even though they could pay the money. Yes, they were paying double the amount, but also they were not willing them to take those passengers, take those children, because they were belonging from one community, one religion, that is Maha religion, and they belong from untouchable. All the cartmen at the station refused to take the children. They acted in a discriminatory manner. Yes, they have acted like a discriminatory manner because of their caste system. They were not willing them to take and drop. So clearly, as this story shows us, caste-based discrimination is not only limited to preventing Dalits from undertaking certain economic activities, but it is also denies them the respect and the dignity given to others. Obviously, see what happens. They are trying this discrimination is not only bounded or it is not only limited on the basis of caste or some economic activities. It is also degrading their respect and losing their dignity. We can say they are losing their dignity and they are getting insult in every part of their life. So this is what Ambedkar is trying to tell us from this story, and this is what discriminatory means.
Striving for equality, page number 21. Striving means trying to do very hard to get something. Okay, now we'll see how much they have worked to get equality. The struggle for freedom from British rule also included within it the struggle of the large group of the people who not only fought against the British but also fought to be treated more equally. Everyone knows that Britishers rule here for 200 years. The fight was not only against the Britishers, the fight was against the inequality in the society. Dalit women, tribals and peasants fought against the inequality they experienced in their lives. Now everyone has their own experience about inequality. Now they have worked really very hard to eradicate this inequality. As pointed out earlier, many Dalits organized themselves to gain entry into temples. So they were not allowed to the temples, already told you. They also worked themselves so that they can also enter the temples. Women demanded that they should have as much as right to education as men did. Obviously what happens in the olden days, we can say, if there is a girl child, they will not send that child to school. So now they have really worked hard for getting girls' education also. Peasants and tribals fought to release themselves from the grasp of the money lender and the high interest they were charged. Now teenage and all middle person will be there, no? They will take high, we can say that those money lenders will take high interest on whatever the loan we have taken or whatever. The upper person will take high interest from us, so even they have fought against that. When India became a nation in 1947, our leaders too were concerned about the different kinds of inequality that existed. Now the people, freedom fighters who were there, who fought against the Britishers, even they were aware about the inequalities happening in our society. And they were also concerned about this inequality so that they can do something in the society. Those who wrote the Constitution of India, a document that laid out the rules by which the nation would every Indian should follow. Now when they were writing that book, when they were writing constitution, they were having one thing in their mind about this inequalities, how to eradicate this inequality in the society or among the societies. Many leaders of these struggles such as Dr. Ambedkar had also fought for the rights of Dalits. So even the ministers and the people like Ambedkar and all, they have fought for the rights of Dalits. So these leaders set out a vision and a goal in the constitution to ensure that all the people of India were considered equal. Now, why did they write in the constitution? So, in future there will not be any discrimination on basis of anything, that doesn't matter. So that they will have it in their brains and they vote all such things so they can eradicate everything from this society. This equality of all the person is seen as a key value that unites us all as Indians. Everyone knows that we all are so much diverse, we all are so much different from each other in case of caste, in case of race, in case of gender, in case of religion and everything. But this will unite us. Now this word, India, will unite us. This will tell us we all are equal. All are equal in India. No one, apart from like all the diversity, keeping everything aside, we all are Indians and this will unite us. So everyone has equal rights and opportunities. So in India, everyone is having equal rights and opportunities. We have seen before, no, how only few people, the people who were in the upper class, in the upper ladder, were doing some certain activities which were having high values, and the people who were in the bottom of the ladder, they were doing such works which were, and they were having much discrimination and less value activities they were doing. So now they can do whatever they want. There is nothing like forcefully or there is nothing like inequality. Untouchability is seen as a crime and has been legally abolished by the law. If someone is still practicing this untouchability, then he is punishable under the law. He will surely be punishable whatever he is doing, discriminating on basis of whatever thing, he will be punishable because it is illegal now. People illegal, the one who is not obeying the constitution or who is going against the constitution is illegal. So constitution is telling that all are equal, but one who is following this discrimination, then it will be illegal. So now if whoever is doing this illegal practices, they will be punishable under the law. People are free to choose the kind of work they wish to do. Now people are very free to do whatever they want. They can take up the jobs, they can go to the school and sit in a common place with everyone. They can also go to any village they want. They can do whatever they like. They can work whatever they want. Government jobs are open to all the people. Even the government jobs, in the field of government jobs also, they doesn't select on the basis of caste. All are equal. In addition, the constitution also places responsibility on the government to take specific steps to realize this right to equality for the poor and the other such marginal communities. So, even government is taking many steps so that this thing, everyone become a common in our society. This what we are having no fluctuation in our society about rich, poor and different castes and everything. Everyone will get equal opportunity and also equality among everyone. The writers of the constitution also said that respect for the diversity was a significant element in ensuring equality. So, respecting the diversity. When we will get equality? When we are respecting for the person whom we are. They need to respect our color. They need to respect our region. They need to respect our religion. They need to respect our caste. They need to respect our gender and everything. If they respect all this diversity, then only we can get equality in the society, and this was in the mind of the people who were making constitution. They felt that the people must have the freedom to follow their religion, speak their language, celebrate their festivals and express themselves freely. Yes, already told you, They were really free to accept any religion they want. They were free to speak. There is a free of language, whichever language we want we can, and also celebrate their festivals. They said that no one language, religion or the festival should become compulsory for all to follow. They said that government must treat all the religions equally. What does our constitution say? That no one should force us to follow so and so festival or so and so religion. We are free to follow if we want to follow. There should not be any compulsion. And even government should respect it. But festival national, apart from national festivals. Therefore, India became a secular country where people of different religions and faith have the freedom to practice and follow their religion without any fear of discrimination. And this is known as secular. Secular means you are very free to follow any religion you want. Secular means you can follow any religion, any belief, any faith, wherever you want you can follow without any discrimination, and you will be treated equally. So India is a secular country. Here you can see there are numerous religions who people are following. There are numerous festivals. There are several kind of cultures, traditions, because it's a land of heritage and everything. So all are equal. This is seen as an important element of our unity, that we all live together and respect one another. Though we are living in a different way, but at the same time we are respecting one another. This is the beauty of India. This is the beauty of our country, India. Though these ideals are enshrined in our constitution, this chapter points out that inequality exists even today. Equality is a value that we have to keep striving for, and not something which will happen automatically. People's struggles and positive actions by the government are necessary to make this reality for all the Indians. Now, even though everything is written in our constitution, we will see some inequality, and it is the duty of every individual to fight against this inequality. Then only we will get equality in this society. So this is the end of your chapter, diversity and equality. Sorry, diversity and discrimination. Thank you.